This situation wasn't supposed to explode the way it did. What started as a subtle comment, something that could have easily been brushed off as just another slick remark, has now turned into a full-blown moment that's pulling attention from every corner of the internet. And at the center of it all are King Harris and 50 Cent, two names operating on completely different levels of experience, influence, and strategy. At first, nobody really took the comment seriously. When 50 Cent made what fans are now calling the algorithm remark, it sounded like his usual style, sarcastic, layered, and just vague enough to avoid direct confrontation. He's built an entire reputation on that approach. For years, he's mastered the art of saying just enough to spark conversation without fully stepping into the fire. Most people laugh it off, repost it, and move on. But this time was different. Because King Harris didn't ignore it. He didn't laugh. He took it personally. And according to what's now circulating online, he didn't just respond through social media like most people would. He allegedly showed up in person. That's the moment everything shifted, from internet tension to real-world confrontation. The footage that's been spreading across platforms is raw, no dramatic edits, no music, just energy, the kind of tension you can feel through the screen. As soon as King steps forward, it's clear this isn't about comments anymore. This is about respect. But what makes this situation even more intense is that people are saying the clip we've seen isn't even the full story. According to alleged witnesses, there was more said, more exchanged, moments that didn't make it into the viral version. And if that's true, then what we're seeing might only be the surface of something much deeper. Now the internet is doing what it always does, choosing sides. Some people are backing King, saying he did what anyone would do after being publicly disrespected. They argue that in hip-hop culture, respect isn't optional. If someone questions your credibility, especially in front of millions, you have to respond. Others see it completely differently. They believe stepping to someone like 50 Cent face-to-face isn't bold, it's reckless. Because 50 doesn't operate like most artists. He doesn't just respond. He calculates. He waits. And when he moves, it's usually strategic. To understand why this moment is hitting so hard, you have to look at the bigger picture. On one side, you have 50 Cent, a veteran. Someone who has spent decades not just surviving in the industry but controlling narratives. He understands attention better than most media professionals. He knows how to turn a small moment into a headline into a conversation, and a conversation into dominance. On the other side, you have King Harris, young, still building his identity, still trying to prove that he's more than just his father's name. And that's where things get complicated. Because growing up as the son of T.I. comes with pressure most people can't even imagine. Every move gets compared. Every mistake gets amplified. Every success gets questioned. Is it earned, or is it inherited? That kind of environment creates tension, internal pressure, the need to prove yourself not just to the world, but to yourself. So when a comment like that algorithm line hits, it doesn't just sound like criticism. It feels like dismissal, like everything you're working toward is being reduced to luck or controversy. And for someone already under that level of scrutiny, that kind of perception can hit hard. At first, King stayed quiet, no immediate response, no emotional reaction online, and for a moment people thought he might let it go. But behind the scenes, things were building. Because silence doesn't always mean acceptance. Sometimes it means calculation. Sometimes it means emotion building to a point where it has to come out, one way or another. Meanwhile, 50 Cent kept moving like nothing happened, posting, laughing, staying active. That alone can be interpreted in different ways. Some see it as confidence, others see it as dismissal. And that's where things escalated. Because from King's perspective, at least based on how fans are interpreting it, it started to look like he wasn't being taken seriously at all, like he was just another topic, another moment. And public disrespect, real or perceived, is one of the fastest ways to turn tension into confrontation. Suddenly, everything started connecting. Old clips, old interviews, past comments. Fans began building narratives, suggesting that this wasn't just one remark but part of a pattern in how 50 talks about younger artists. Whether that's true or not almost doesn't matter, because once the internet believes there's a pattern, the story takes on a life of its own. And that pressure, it shifts. Now, it's not just about what was said. It's about how you respond. For King, that meant stepping out of the digital space entirely. No tweets, no capti. Ons, no live streams. Just presence. And that decision, that choice to allegedly confront 50 Cent in person, is what turned this from a trending topic into something much bigger. Because now people are asking different questions. Did he stand up for himself? Or did he step into something he can't control? And maybe the most important question of all, what happens next? Because situations like this don't just disappear. Not when both names carry weight. Not when the internet is this invested. Not when narratives are already forming. If 50 Cent decides to respond, it likely won't be immediate. That's not his style. He's known for timing, for letting moments breathe before turning them into something bigger. And if he doesn't respond at all, that sends a message too. Either way, the silence or the reaction will matter. For King Harris, this moment could define something important. Not just how people see him now, but how they see his future in the industry. Because in hip-hop, moments like this don't just fade. They become part of your story. Right now, everything is still unfolding. The footage is still being debated. The details are still unclear. And the full truth, it's probably somewhere between what's being shown and what's being said. But one thing is certain. This isn't over. Not even close. So the real question is, did this confrontation prove something or start something? When King Harris chose to show up in person instead of responding online, the entire situation shifted from a typical social media exchange into something far more serious and unpredictable. In a world where most conflicts stay behind screens, a real-life confrontation carries a different kind of weight, raw, immediate, and impossible to control. The footage that surfaced feels unfiltered and chaotic, with shaky camera movement, overlapping voices, and a tense atmosphere that you can almost feel through the screen. As King walks in, his energy is focused and intense, clearly not there for casual conversation, while across from him stands 50 Cent, calm and composed, observing more than reacting. That contrast alone sets the tone before a single clear word is exchanged. The moment escalates quickly when King steps forward and directly questions the algorithm comment, bringing the issue out of the digital world into real-time confrontation. The room quiets as attention locks in, and 50 Cent responds casually, almost dismissively, which only fuels King's frustration. From King's perspective, that calm reaction feels like disrespect, like his concerns aren't being taken seriously, and that's when the energy rises sharply. His voice becomes more intense as he speaks about respect and how public statements carry weight, while people around them start reacting, some watching closely, others ready to step in, all aware they're witnessing something significant. Then comes a subtle but powerful shift. 50 Cent smiles slightly, and in a moment like this, even that small gesture changes everything, pushing the tension even higher as King steps closer, eliminating personal space and turning the confrontation fully personal. Just when it seems like things might turn physical, the situation takes an unexpected turn when 50 Cent calmly says, "You proving my point right now." That single line reframes the entire moment, making it feel less like a reaction and more like a confirmation of what he had implied earlier. For a brief second, the energy shifts again, introducing hesitation and turning the confrontation into something psychological rather than purely emotional. Instead of escalating further, it becomes a battle of control and narrative. King standing firm and refusing to back down, while 50 remains composed, almost as if he's seen this situation play out before. The tension in the room becomes uncertain, with no clear direction on whether things will calm down or explode. Then another layer is added when a voice in the background suggests, "This what he wanted," raising the possibility that the entire situation may not have been accidental at all. That idea changes how people interpret everything, turning the moment into something that feels almost engineered. A comment goes viral, a reaction follows, a confrontation happens, footage leaks, and the internet explodes with attention. Suddenly, it's not just about what happened, but why it happened. Fans begin questioning whether this was a genuine emotional reaction or part of a larger, more calculated dynamic, especially considering 50 Cent's reputation for controlling narratives and understanding how attention works. As more speculation spreads about additional unseen footage and longer clips, the situation becomes even more complex. Every detail in the video starts to feel significant, every reaction analyzed, every word debated. What began as a simple comment has now evolved into a moment that blends emotion, strategy, perception, and public attention. And because no one has the full picture yet, the story continues to grow, with people watching closely, trying to understand not just what happened in that room, but what it means for what comes next. What people didn't realize at first is that the footage circulating online might not have been the full story. As more clips and angles began surfacing, rumors quickly spread that there was still unreleased footage that allegedly captured what happened after the intense face-to-face moment between King Harris and 50 Cent. At first, many dismissed those claims as typical internet exaggeration. But then something changed. A second clip appeared, and suddenly the entire narrative began to shift. This new footage didn't show the build-up or the initial confrontation people had already seen. Instead, it dropped viewers directly into the aftermath, where the energy was completely different. Gone was the controlled tension, the calm exchanges, the subtle back and forth. What replaced it was raw intensity. Voices were raised. People were talking over each other. The atmosphere felt heavier, more emotional, and far less predictable. It was clear that whatever had been said earlier had pushed both sides to a different level. In that second clip, one line stood out above everything else. According to multiple breakdowns and interpretations, King Harris could be heard saying, "You keep playing with my name like it's a joke." That statement didn't sound like a casual reaction. It sounded like built-up frustration finally reaching the surface. It wasn't just about one comment anymore. It was about a pattern, or at least what King perceived as a pattern. A feeling that his identity, his efforts, and his name were being dismissed publicly. But what happened next is what truly reframed the entire situation. Unlike before, where 50 Cent remained mostly calm and almost detached, this time he responded directly. Still composed, still controlled, but sharper, more intentional. And according to what people believe they heard, he said something that instantly shifted the conversation. "It ain't about your name, it's about what you're doing with it." That line hit differently. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about disrespect or personal tension anymore. It became about perception, about credibility, about how someone is viewed versus how they see themselves. And that's where the situation became uncomfortable, not just for the people involved, but for everyone watching. Fans immediately started debating what that statement really meant. Was it criticism? Was it advice? Was it a subtle way of questioning King's position in the industry? Or was it something deeper, a reflection on how success, attention, and reputation are built in the modern music landscape? As expected, the internet did what it always does in moments like this. It started digging. Old interviews resurfaced. Past performances were reanalyzed. Social media clips were brought back into circulation. People began comparing timelines, looking at King Harris's career progression, his public image, and the controversies surrounding his name. At the same time, they revisited 50 Cent's history, his approach to conflict, his ability to control narratives, and his reputation for turning moments into movements. And then another detail emerged from the same clip, something subtle, easy to miss, but powerful. A voice in the background said, "This bigger than music, bro." That single sentence added a completely new dimension to the situation. Because if this is bigger than music, then what is it really about? Is it about reputation, influence, power, legacy? Because King Harris isn't just another artist trying to break into the industry. He represents a legacy. The son of T.I., a figure who has already lived through legal struggles, public scrutiny, and eventual redemption. That kind of background comes with expectations, both spoken and unspoken. On the other side, 50 Cent has built his entire career challenging systems, questioning credibility, and exposing what he sees as weakness or inconsistency. When those two energies collide, it rarely stays surface level. And that realization spread quickly. Some fans began framing the situation as a generational clash, old guard versus new wave. Others saw it as a battle of influence, who really controls the narrative in today's culture. And then a more complex theory started gaining traction, that this wasn't just a random confrontation, but part of a larger message. A message about how attention works. A message about how quickly narratives can be shaped. A message about how emotions, when made public, can be turned into content. If that theory holds any truth, then everything that happened, from the original algorithm comment to the confrontation and the leaked footage, could be seen as part of a cycle. A cycle where reaction fuels attention and attention fuels relevance. And that's where things become unsettling. Because it raises a question that doesn't have a simple answer. W. Is this moment spontaneous, or was it predictable? Before people could fully process that, another twist appeared. This time, it wasn't a video or audio clip, it was a screenshot. A supposed leaked message that began circulating across social media platforms. There was no confirmation, no verified source, no clear proof of authenticity, but the timing was almost too perfect. According to what people claim the screenshot shows, it features a conversation between someone allegedly close to 50 Cent and another unidentified individual. The content of the message, if real, suggests that the situation may have been anticipated, possibly even expected to unfold the way it did. Now, whether that message is real or not is still unclear. But in the age of the internet, perception often moves faster than truth. And once something like that enters the conversation, it changes everything. Because now people aren't just reacting to what they saw, they're questioning what they didn't see. Was the confrontation inevitable? Was the reaction part of a larger pattern? Was this a clash of personalities or a collision of strategies? As these questions continue to circulate, one thing becomes increasingly clear. This situation has moved far beyond a simple disagreement. It has evolved into a layered narrative involving emotion, perception, influence, and control. And the most important part, it's still unfolding. Because with more footage potentially out there, more perspectives waiting to surface, and more voices entering the conversation, the story is far from complete. Right now, everyone is watching, analyzing, and trying to piece together what really happened. But until the full picture comes into focus, every new detail only adds another layer to a situation that's already more complex than it first appeared. The situation took an even more intense turn when that alleged leaked message surfaced, carrying a line that completely shifted how people were viewing everything. He walked into exactly what we said would happen. If that message is real, it changes the entire narrative, because now the focus is no longer on who won the confrontation, but whether the confrontation itself was predicted, expected, or even strategically anticipated. Suddenly, what once seemed like a simple comment from 50 Cent starts to look much more calculated, especially when you consider how online algorithms thrive on conflict, emotion, and viral moments exactly like the one involving King Harris. This realization split the internet into completely different camps. Some people believe King genuinely reacted in the moment, standing up for himself and defending his name the way anyone might under public pressure, while others argue that he may have been pulled into something far more strategic, a situation designed to play out exactly the way it did. What makes things even more mysterious is the response from 50 Cent himself, or rather the lack of a full response. Instead of explaining or escalating directly, he posted subtle messages, emojis, and one caption in particular that caught everyone's attention. "Hard people show you who they are. Just give them time." That single line sparked endless interpretations, with fans questioning whether he was referring to King, the situation, or something deeper entirely. At this point, the situation has clearly gone far beyond a simple face-to-face confrontation and evolved into a full-blown narrative battle, where perception, timing, and control matter just as much as the actual events. What makes it even more unsettling is the possibility that everything seen so far might only be part of a setup, not the full picture, leaving people wondering if the real reveal is still yet to come. As more clips surfaced and the second video spread across platforms, the internet didn't just react, it erupted. Timelines were flooded with reposts, breakdowns, and detailed analysis, with users slowing down footage, enhancing audio, and dissecting every movement to understand what really happened. The debate quickly split into two dominant sides. On one side were those defending King Harris, praising him for confronting the situation in real life instead of hiding behind social media, calling his actions bold, fearless, and a necessary stand for respect. On the other side were critics who believed he walked straight into a trap, arguing that engaging directly with someone like 50 Cent only amplified the situation and played perfectly into his hands. This is where the conversation shifted from being about respect versus disrespect to something much deeper, strategy versus emotion. People began revisiting past situations involving 50 Cent, pointing out how often others had reacted emotionally and unintentionally made things bigger for him rather than themselves. When those past patterns were compared to what just happened, the similarities became hard to ignore. Meanwhile, reactions from within the industry added another layer to T's situation. Unlike fans, industry figures responded in subtle, calculated ways, posting indirect statements like "young energy versus experienced mind," or "some people don't argue, they observe," without naming anyone but clearly referencing the situation. Even silence became meaningful, as many chose to simply like or share posts without commentary, suggesting they were watching closely rather than taking sides. Behind the scenes, reports began circulating about growing tension, not just between individuals but in terms of reputation, branding, and public perception, which are critical in the entertainment world. As a result, some people appeared to be distancing themselves quietly, avoiding involvement until the situation became clearer. At the same time, fan discussions became more intense than ever, with many trying to connect the dots between the original comment, the reaction, the confrontation, the leaked footage, and the viral explosion that followed. For some, this was a defining moment for King Harris, either a step toward establishing his own identity or a sign that he may not have been fully prepared for the level of pressure he is facing. For others, it reinforced 50 Cent's reputation as someone who can control narratives without even appearing to try. There is also a growing group of people who believe something deeper is happening, focusing not on who won the confrontation, but on how perfectly everything seemed to unfold, almost as if it were designed. This has led to uncomfortable questions about whether the situation was truly spontaneous or something that was always going to happen given the personalities and dynamics involved. Adding even more mystery to the situation is King Harris's silence. Despite the massive attention and speculation, he has not provided a detailed explanation or breakdown of what happened. that silence is now being interpreted in completely different ways. Some see it as a sign of maturity, suggesting he is choosing not to escalate things further, while others view it as uncertainty, as if he is still processing what happened or unsure how to respond. In situations like this, silence can be just as powerful as words, sometimes even more so, because it leaves room for interpretation, speculation, and narrative building. And right now, that is exactly what is happening. The story continues to evolve in real time, with every new detail adding another layer of complexity. What started as a simple comment has now become a multi-layered situation involving ego, respect, strategy, perception, and possibly even manipulation of attention itself. The most unsettling part is that despite everything that has already surfaced, it still feels like the full story hasn't been revealed. There is a growing sense that something bigger is still coming, something that could completely change how this entire situation is understood. Until then, the internet remains locked in debate, watching closely, analyzing every move, and waiting for the next piece of the puzzle to drop. As the situation continues to unfold, the silence from King Harris has become one of the most talked about elements of the entire story, and people are interpreting it in very different ways depending on how they see the bigger picture. Some believe he's simply letting the moment breathe, choosing not to react emotionally after everything that already happened, allowing the noise to settle before making his next move. Others think he's regrouping, stepping back to analyze the situation more carefully after realizing how quickly things escalated once it moved from online comments to a real-life confrontation. But there's also a growing number of people who believe something deeper is going on, that he may be realizing something now that he didn't fully see in the moment, something that only became clear after the confrontation, the viral footage, and the overwhelming reaction from the internet. If that's true, then whatever happens next might look very different from what people expect, because this is no longer just about reacting in real time. It's about understanding the situation on a completely different level. Right now, everything is still in motion. The internet is loud. Reactions are split down the middle. The industry is watching closely, and the narrative is still shifting with every new detail that surfaces. One thing is certain, though, this situation is far from finished. In fact, it feels like everything that has happened so far might have just been the beginning of something much bigger. And just when it seemed like things had reached their peak, when the clips had already gone viral, when debates were at their loudest and people thought they had finally figured out what really happened, everything took one more unexpected turn. Because behind all the noise, the reactions, and the endless theories, something else was happening quietly in the background, something that wasn't meant to be public but is now starting to come out through whispers and insider claims gaining traction online. According to these reports, there was another interaction after the viral confrontation, one that wasn't filmed, wasn't posted, and wasn't meant for the public at all. No cameras, no audience, just a smaller, more controlled environment where the energy was completely different from what people saw online. And that alone raises serious questions, because if the confrontation was as intense and personal as it appeared, why would there be a calm follow-up conversation afterward? What changed in that moment that allowed both sides to shift from tension to dialogue? According to one unconfirmed but widely discussed claim, during that private interaction, 50 Cent said something that didn't sound like a diss, didn't sound like an insult, and didn't even sound like a challenge. It sounded more like a warning. Allegedly, he told King Harris something along the lines of, "You got to know what game you stepping into." That line has been analyzed from every possible angle because it can be interpreted in so many different ways. On the surface, it could sound dismissive, like a veteran talking down to someone younger. But on a deeper level, it could also be seen as advice, a reality check from someone who understands exactly how the industry works, how narratives are controlled, and how quickly situations can spiral once they go public. That's what makes this twist so powerful, because it shifts the entire narrative again. Now it's no longer just about a confrontation or a viral moment. It's about awareness, about understanding the space you're operating in, and about recognizing that not everything is as simple as it looks on the surface. Things become even more layered when you consider what surfaced shortly after that alleged conversation. A short clip of King Harris that didn't go viral in the same way as the confrontation, but was still noticed by those paying close attention. In that clip, there's no tension, no raised voices, no confrontation, just a casual moment where he's walking and speaking to someone off camera, and in that moment he says one line, "I see it now." That single sentence has become one of the most replayed and analyzed parts of the entire situation because of what it might mean. What exactly does he see now that he didn't see before? What changed between the confrontation and that moment? Was it something said during that private exchange? Something he realized after watching the footage? Or something he understood after seeing how the internet reacted? That line has turned into a kind of mystery at the center of the story. Because if that moment is genuine, then it suggests the confrontation wasn't the end of the situation. It may have been the beginning of something deeper. Suddenly, the entire narrative starts to feel different. Instead of just a clash between two individuals, it starts to look like a turning point, a moment where someone begins to understand the bigger picture behind what's happening. And that has led fans to ask a completely new question. Was this just a confrontation, or was it actually a lesson? When you connect all the pieces, the initial comment, the reaction, the face-to-face moment, the viral footage, the leaked messages, the silence, and now this alleged private exchange, it stops feeling like a random series of events and starts feeling like something more structured, more connected, almost like a sequence that was always going to unfold this way. That realization is what makes the situation feel so intense right now, because if King Harris truly sees it now, then his next move could be completely different from what people are expecting. He might respond in a more calculated way, move more strategically, or choose not to engage in the same way again. On the other hand, there's still the possibility that new information could come out that flips the entire story once again, because at this point, it's clear that we still don't have the full picture. There could be more footage, more conversations, more context that hasn't been revealed yet. And that uncertainty is what keeps the entire internet locked into this story, because it feels like we're in the middle of it, not at the end. Every time it seems like things are settling down, something new surfaces and shifts the narrative again. That pattern has made people believe that whatever comes next might not be loud or viral, but it could be the most important piece of the entire situation. So now the focus has shifted to one central question. What did King Harris actually mean when he said, "I see it now"? Because whatever he realized in that moment could determine everything that happens next. It could calm the situation down, or it could lead to an even bigger development that nobody is expecting. And if there's one thing this entire situation has shown, it's that nothing unfolds the way people think it will. The timing of every thing, from the initial comment to the reaction, to the confrontation, to the leaked footage, and the explosion across social media, has felt almost too perfect, which is why so many people are questioning whether it was all just coincidence or something more deliberate. That's why the debate continues to grow, with some people believing that 50 Cent may have set the tone for everything that followed, while others believe King Harris simply reacted the way anyone would in that position. What makes this story so compelling is that both perspectives can exist at the same time, and until more information comes out, there's no clear answer. For now, the situation remains open, unfinished, and constantly evolving, with the entire internet watching closely for the next move. Because if there's one thing everyone agrees on, it's that this story is far from over, and whatever happens next has the potential to change everything we think we understand about it. The situation has taken on a whole new dimension, prompting fans to ask a question that goes far beyond the initial confrontation. Was this simply a clash between two personalities, or was it actually a lesson in disguise? When you connect all the pieces, the original comment that sparked everything, the immediate reactions online, the face-to-face confrontation, The viral footage that circulated afterward, the leaked messages, the periods of silence, and now the alleged private exchange. The story begins to feel far more complex than a simple moment of conflict. It starts to feel like a turning point, not only for the situation itself, but also for King Harris personally. There's a sense that what we witnessed publicly might only have been the surface layer, and that deeper lessons or realizations were unfolding behind the scenes. And that's where things get even more intense. If King Harris truly sees it now, as some clips suggest, then the next phase of this story could play out in ways no one is expecting. Will he respond differently? Will his actions shift the narrative in an unforeseen direction? Or will a new piece of information emerge that completely flips the story on its head once again? The uncertainty is compounded by the fact that we still don't have the full picture. Not all footage has been released. Not all conversations behind closed doors are known, and it's unclear whether the moments we've seen so far even represent the complete story. That uncertainty is precisely what makes this situation so compelling and so unsettling. Right now, it feels like we're in the middle of something rather than at the end. If the hints and rumors circulating are accurate, the next move might not be flashy. It might not make headlines immediately, but it could very well be the decisive moment that changes everything. The focus has shifted to a single, critical question. What exactly did King Harris mean when he said, "I see it now"? That line could hold the key to understanding his perspective, his next actions, and potentially the true meaning behind the confrontation itself. Could it signal a de-escalation, a moment of clarity, or is it setting the stage for a completely new development? What this entire saga has taught us is that every time it seems like the tension is settling, something unexpected occurs. Moments that appear calm on the surface often have layers of strategy, intention, and consequence lurking beneath. The next moment, the one that everyone is anticipating, could arrive sooner than expected, and it might carry implications far greater than what we've already seen. After breaking down the sequence of events, the algorithm comment that started it all, the heated face-to-face confrontation, the leaked clips that spread across social media, the potential setup that some insiders have hinted at, and that quiet moment where King Harris reportedly says, "I see it now," the question becomes, what was really happening in all of this? Was King Harris acting purely on emotion, defending his reputation in a moment of genuine indignation? Or was he stepping right into a situation that had already been carefully orchestrated from the start? A series of events designed to provoke exactly the reaction that followed. The timing of everything adds another layer of intrigue. The original comment went viral almost immediately. Reactions escalated, the confrontation unfolded, the clips leaked, and the online community erupted. That sequence of events didn't feel coincidental. It felt precise, almost like a perfectly timed sequence. And that is why this story continues to captivate so many people. Now the debate is in full force. Did 50 Cent engineer the entire scenario from the outset, setting the stage for everything that followed? Or did King Harris simply react as anyone would when they feel challenged or disrespected? And perhaps most intriguingly, what exactly did he mean when he said, "I see it now"? That simple line could be the most revealing clue of all, offering insight into what he understood after seeing the situation unfold from multiple angles, and after reflecting on the dynamics that were at play. For fans and observers alike, this story is far from over. There's still more footage that could surface, responses that might be posted, and additional revelations that could completely change the way the situation is perceived. What began as a viral moment now has the potential to evolve into something much bigger, a story that extends beyond the initial confrontation and into the realm of influence, strategy, and perception. This is why staying informed is critical for anyone following the saga. By paying attention to every update, every new clip, and every subtle move from both sides, we start to see a more complete picture of the ongoing narrative. The next phase of this story could expose hidden truths, reveal previously unseen motivations, and show just how much control certain figures have over shaping public perception. And when that moment arrives, missing it could mean losing sight of the full context of what's happening. Ultimately, the question remains, was this a clash, a lesson, or something more intricate than anyone could have imagined? What King Harris sees now could redefine not only the outcome of this confrontation, but also his position in the broader narrative that's developing online and within the industry. The next moves, whether quiet or explosive, are likely to determine how the story will be remembered and what lessons, if any, are learned from this entire chain of events. So, for anyone following closely, the message is clear. This situation is far from over. Subscribe, stay updated, and watch carefully, because the next part of this story might reveal everything we've been speculating about, and it's not something anyone will want to miss. The unfolding drama promises to go beyond just a viral moment. It has the potential to shift perceptions, redefine reputations, and ultimately change the way fans and industry insiders alike view both King Harris and 50 Cent. This is a story still in motion, and every new development could take the narrative in an entirely unexpected direction, making the next chapter perhaps the most important one yet. Fans, industry observers, and casual viewers alike are now on edge, speculating about what comes next, dissecting every line of dialogue, every reaction, and every subtle hint that has surfaced online. The moment King Harris said, "I see it now," has become a pivot point, a phrase loaded with implications about awareness, strategy, and personal growth. Whether it signals a realization, a recalibration, or the prelude to another confrontation remains unclear, but one thing is certain: the narrative is far from concluded, and each new revelation only deepens the intrigue. The stakes are higher than ever, not just for those directly involved, but for everyone watching as this real-time story unfolds across social media and beyond. With every leak, clip, and insider claim, the context shifts, the narrative evolves, and fans are left questioning not only what happened, but what it all truly means. Was it emotion, strategy, or a combination of both that drove the events we witnessed? The answer remains uncertain, and that uncertainty is part of what makes this moment so compelling. In conclusion, this isn't merely a viral confrontation or a fleeting moment of internet drama. It's a multifaceted narrative, a lesson in perception, timing, and the dynamics of power within the industry. King Harris's next actions, his reflections, and the interpretations of what he now sees could define the outcome of this story and potentially reshape the landscape of influence around him. For those following closely, the takeaway is simple. This story is still unfolding. The next chapter could change everything, and staying informed is the only way to fully understand the complexities of what's really happening. The tension, the timing, the viral moments, and the subtle exchanges all combine to create a narrative that's as unpredictable as it is fascinating, and we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Whatever happens next, it promises to be revealing, consequential, and potentially transformative for everyone involved. Fans are left with one thing to do: watch, analyze, and prepare for the next chapter, because it could expose everything, change perceptions, and leave a lasting impact that extends far beyond the initial confrontation. This is a story in real time, a narrative that demands attention, careful analysis, and patience, because the next move, however subtle or explosive, could very well determine how the situation will be remembered and what lessons, if any, will emerge for both King Harris and 50 Cent. And for everyone watching, the key is to stay alert, because the next twist in this evolving story is closer than anyone thinks.